Hi guys. I know I have not filmed in probably 2 months, but now that everyone is stuck at home, I thought why not make a video. And if you hear any background noise, it's Nixon playing around. So yeah, I figured I would tell you guys my labor story. It's nothing special, but I know I like watching these videos on YouTube, so yeah, let's get started, right? Can you blow me a kiss? No. So I got pregnant back in June 2018. I had a pretty smooth pregnancy. I was a little nauseous in the beginning, but I never actually got sick, which was nice because I know some women have a really hard time with that. So I went to a hospital in St. Louis called Barnes Jewish Hospital. That's where we went for all my appointments, and that's where I delivered. My husband works there, so it was just kind of convenient for us to go there. So my due date originally was March 25th, and I ended up being induced on the night of the 21st, and I didn't have her until the 22nd. So, if you're a mom, you know, like the last couple weeks of pregnancy, you go to the doctor more than you normally did. I think it's like twice a week. And I was not really dilating at all. So it was like the last week I went, the first appointment of that week, they checked me and, they said I was like dilated to maybe a 1, and I can't remember what it's called, but they swept or stretched something to my cervix. Very painful. And she did that so that maybe it would speed things up. I would lose my plug and hopefully go into labor naturally. So nothing really happened after that. My mom was with me and she's like, why don't we just go down to the cafeteria and eat here, in case she thought I was going to go into labor right away. I did lose like some of my plug, but nothing came of that. So they told me things that supposedly can speed up the process. So one of the things I did was get a medicine ball, and I rocked on that thing like all the time. And same thing, nothing really happened. I got a couple contractions, but nothing serious enough to where like we needed to go to the hospital. So the last appointment of that week, we talked about being induced. I asked questions like, you know, are there any risks? And like, I thought that people were only induced if the mom was like, you know, something bad was happening to the mom or the baby, and like they needed the baby to get out right away. I had no idea that they could, you know, induce people, you know, if they wanted to be induced, but they didn't have any, you know, health issues, which I know some people don't think that that's okay, and that's fine. But I trusted all of my doctors, and I talked to my husband, and we just decided that I was, you know, healthy. Nixon was healthy, so why not? We felt that she was developed enough too. I was 39 and a half weeks when I was induced. So they sent me home that day after the appointment, and they said they would call me back with a date to come back in to be induced. So they called me that night, and they said, why don't you come in on the 21st at 8 o'clock at night, I believe, and we'll induce you. So they told me to get as much rest as you can that whole day, which did not really happen. I took like a little bit of a nap, but like, I mean, you're just so stressed out about, you know, bringing a child into this world and labor and everything, so you can't really get much sleep. So they also said to eat one big meal before you come in, because obviously you're not going to eat for a while because you're going to be in labor. So, your binky's in, babe. So we went to Freddy's and got some food before we came to the hospital, and we checked in when we got to Barnes, and oh, I was so nervous. They started a IV right away, and probably after like 30 minutes of being there, the doctor came in and discussed how I wanted to be induced, and I'm like, I have no idea. So we chose a balloon catheter, and I don't know like much about it, but from what I understand, you know, it goes inside of you and it's expanding, like making you dilate quicker. And so we did that, and then I also did a pill, and I believe this softened my cervix and it kind of dissolves. So they told me like once with a balloon catheter, like, you know, if I was in too much pain, they can take that out. But the pill, they said they can't really get that out as easy. So that was a little stressful when they said that, but everything was fine. After this, like after having her and talking to some other nurses, they're like, you probably didn't need to do both ways. But, you know, I wasn't sure, so now I know going forward. So I would say I didn't feel anything until probably an hour, maybe I would say, after I got, you know, both of those things put in. And then that's when things got pretty intense, like the contractions were closer, and it seemed like once I could get comfortable in a certain position, here comes another contraction. And so for some reason, whatever reason, I wanted to feel the contractions. I knew going in, like I didn't have a real like birthing plan because, oh, thank you. That's good. Thank you. I didn't have a real birthing plan because I was told by other moms, like, you know, it never goes the way you expect it to go. So if you don't have a birthing plan, like you're not let down. So I told the nurses, you know, I don't really have any type of birthing plan. I just know that if I'm in too much pain, I don't have any issue getting the epidural. But I did know that I wanted to like feel the contractions before getting the epidural. So I think it was, I don't know, a couple hours into labor, and I know I was at a 5, and it just like clicked, and I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I woke CJ and I was like, I'm in so much pain. I can't get comfortable and I'm going crazy. So the nurse came in and she called the anesthesiologist, and I had heard like these horror stories of like the anesthesiologist was with someone else, with the other patient, and so they couldn't come, you know, right away, and it took them hours to get up there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gonna take them forever to get to me. And it didn't. It took 30 minutes, and I know that's not everyone's situation, but I was just lucky, I guess. And I wasn't really nervous of the pain of the epidural, which, you know, you see these long needles, which I didn't see, but CJ said it was long. And I was not nervous of the pain because you're already in so much pain. You're like, just something needs to stop these contractions. The main thing I was nervous about was the doctor was like telling me everything that could happen. He's like, you know, you could be paralyzed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, should I be doing this? Everything was fine. I think this is pretty normal, but I guess more epidural went into one of my legs than the other, which it didn't, I mean, I still couldn't really feel anything, so it was fine. I think it did make me a little nauseous. Maybe it could have been something else, but I did get sick one time, and it was after the epidural. But I think that's pretty common. The nurse said that like typically moms get sick, and that's their body's way of like preparing to give birth. So after the epidural, I felt like I could finally rest, my body could rest, and then things started moving really quick after the epidural. And I have actually heard like the complete opposite, like things slowing down once you get the epidural, but that was not the case for us. Like I took probably an hour nap, and it was like I woke up and it was go time. Sorry, my dog. Okay, let's try this again. My dog saw another dog outside. So I took about an hour nap, and when I woke up from the nap, the nurse came in to check me to see if I had dilated any, and she was like, oh, well, like it's go time. And I'm like, are you serious? I thought, you know, oh, she just said it's go time. I'm gonna meet my daughter in like, you know, 10 minutes. No, it took a little bit longer than that. So they started bringing everything in and getting everything prepared. And I ended up pushing for a little over 2 hours, which was just crazy to me because I have friends that pushed for like 5 minutes. Like one of my friends said she pushed literally 2 times and her daughter was out, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just not good at pushing because I couldn't get her out and she wasn't even big. She was 7 pounds. So what's wrong? So after pushing like a couple times, they asked me if I wanted to watch, and I hadn't even like thought of it before, you know, having her, and I decided to try it, and I highly recommend it. It was amazing. Like I feel like it gave me kind of like motivation to get her out once I could see the progress I was making, or you know, you can't feel anything. You can feel the pressure of the contractions, but like you couldn't feel where to push. And so they're like, oh, you're not pushing in the right spot. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I can't, you know, I can't feel anything. So watching it, I could tell where to push. So highly recommend that. It was amazing. And yeah, after 2 hours, I ended up getting her out, and she was 7 pounds 4 ounces. Everything was good. She was a little jaundiced because we have different blood types, and I guess the doctor explained to me like you know, our blood kind of like crossed or something during delivery, and since we have different blood types, it made her a little jaundiced. So she came out, and like after an hour I was like, she's so tan, and the doctor's like, no, that'll go away. So we had to stay at the hospital for I think 2 days, and I was definitely ready to get home and like just start my own routine and not be in a hospital. That was the first time I had ever had to stay overnight in a hospital. So yeah, I highly recommend delivering at Barnes. All the doctors were great, and I would say my overall experience was just 100% perfect. Well, not perfect, but I don't think I would change anything. So I hope you guys enjoyed my little story time. And if you want more stories like this or about anything else, let me know. I've got a ton of time, just like you guys do. So everyone have a good day and stay safe. Say bye. Can you blow a kiss? Mwah. Good girl. Bye.